Need a motion to open the meeting or?
Motion open.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, meeting is open. 25th of February, 2021, Rockland Community Preservation Committee. As you guys saw on the agenda, tonight we have our warrant articles. Hey, John. Warrant articles to be considered, and also our budget articles, not only the Reed's Pond one or the Spring Lake, but also budget articles that just have to be approved. They have to be turned in, so capital planning, FinCom, all that can just take a look at it, and they're going to go to the selectmen on the 16th of March. So I told them we would have them in by the 1st of March, which is Monday. So we throw together a quick meeting. Write down who is here. All right. So first article, first item on the agenda. The wording of this is all written out already. And if I had thought ahead, I would have emailed it back to myself to have it on this computer rather than my other one. It is basically the preemptive approval for funds for the land purchase, possibly going forward for the Spring Lake, Reed's Pond land. I know Doug had been in contact with Joe and myself. He sent me an email as well and talked to me about what they were looking for, to cover for the, not only the possible purchase price based on appraisal, but as well as closing costs, different fees that are associated with the land purchase. That total was, and correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, it was 55.
55,000, correct.
Yep. All right. So 55, 50 being the purchase, 5 being any overseeing, expenses, closing costs or whatnot, associated with the purchase. So the, I guess the best thing, I'll just read it right down. The thing we'd have to decide, and it's really, I think it would behoove us to put this into the moniker of open space, obviously, for the purchase. So that would be that that resource reserve would be from open space. So the wording of it, I'll read through it, and then you guys can make a motion to accept, to do whatever you want to do. Discussion, open discussion, whatever. All right. So to see if the town will vote to appropriate the or reserve from the open space reserve fund the amount of $55,000 for the purchase of land pursuant to Spring Lake Cemetery and the Studley Pond waterway. Those have 2 lots that one of them on the map I had was unclear. Do we have those numbers? Just because I want to put those in there.
I don't have them on me.
Not a problem. Not a problem. I wasn't sure if anybody had it right offhand. I can get the number from Doug. It's just the actual appropriation of the money is all we really have to concern ourselves with. As a committee, is anybody have any thoughts on that? Reservations about doing it before we actually have any kind of an agreement or a deal or anything like that? If they don't use it, the money would actually just be returned back into the fund that it was withdrawn from.
Derek, can I explain to everybody?
Yep.
What's happening with this land? The title is kind of messed up. So the town attorneys are working on it, trying to find a clean title. Right now, there was people that who are in charge of the trust. And I forget what bank, I want to say the credit union is in charge of the trust of the cemetery. So Doug does not want to go forward until that title's clear and we understand everything about the title. So he doesn't feel comfortable handing money over to a trustee that might not be legal, I guess. So we're waiting on the title to be process to be done, and he wanted to put this on a warrant, and if the title doesn't come back clean, then we would withdraw our purchase of the property.
Makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. I just now noticed that my name says Mark Yule.
Yeah, who's Mark?
Mark's my little cousin. He's actually Pete's son. But I know that they made me host. Dave made me host before he signed off. So it's recording and he must have put that in there instead of, it used to say Anne Marie because I'm using her.
Yeah,
Or a
no, you should
computer.
be able to rename
Improvement.
that if you want.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. I just now noticed it though. I mean, obviously, I think I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. It's a no loss for us. We either get a land purchase or we get the money back. So, any other thoughts?
I think it's a great idea. I'm all for it. Do we put? I guess we wouldn't need to put any like contingency in the warrant article. Contingent upon clean title because that would be in the P&S, right?
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, they wouldn't even move forward to anything like that without a clean title. No, it's just for the funding of the purchase closing costs.
Do you normally get like title insurance for this type of purchase anyway, or?
I honestly, I don't know where it's coming from a trust. I don't know if there's something different or if it's I would assume, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Doug didn't
There's a
say anything
reason-
about that.
Yeah, there's a reason Doug doesn't want to jump for it. And I think that maybe this doesn't actually fall into those guidelines or whatnot. I mean, if it was a house or a structure or something, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's my only experience, so.
Yeah, I do not know. As far as anything we've discussed, it hasn't come up.
As long as we can bail, if the title's not clean, then it seems fine to me.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the things that was brought to us is that we just, if we approve the money, title comes back clean, we're good. I mean, ultimately the town's got to answer for their actions going forward with the money. So if they spend the money on a unclean title, somebody else takes it to court to fight ownership or something like that, then it's up to the town. The CPA and the Department of Revenue can deal with, going back after the town like they did in Norwell to have the money refunded.
Mm.
Anything along those lines wouldn't be really an issue for us, I don't think. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
All
looking
right.
forward to it.
All right, so we just need a motion to vote as written, 55,000 for that purchase. And I will add in.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 55,000 for the warrant.
Second,
All in favor?
I
I,
That is unanimous. Excellent. That'll be good. I hope this goes through well,
I
All
did
right,
tell
so that-
everyone about the water testing, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay.
we talked about that.
Yep. Fantastic too. Let's see. All right, next, and here, just in case anybody didn't know, the total disbursement between property taxes and the state's kickback, there was a 28% match this year. Like we discussed, that was pretty out of the blue. We were always putting these through the past 2 fiscal years as being 12% and 15% because we weren't sure what they were going to do. This one came back, it was 28%, which is pretty nifty. So we're looking at locally raised from property taxes of 432,000 and the state kickback of 122,000. Grand total of $554,000 that just from this year's disbursement. You know, that's pretty cool, you know, considering that we're only looking at $55,000 worth of project expenses. From this end of it, we're banking $500,000 from this fiscal year.
Mhm.
Right through, obviously through till next year. That's not bad, starting spot before would ever even look, you know, by next town meeting, you know, we're looking at probably having a little more than $1 million ready to go for whatever projects come in 2021.
Derek,
Yes.
do you know if we can put that in a CD or anything like that, where we're not using all that and try to collect a little more?
I do not know what the Department of Revenue's guidelines are for it. I know that they have set up funds through the accountant's office. They have 3 specific funds for the mandated reserves, and then one for the budget reserve, and then one for administrative costs. But I do not know if there's anything basically like, you know, putting it in a short-term 6-month CD or something like that would. I do not know. It's something that we could definitely look into and see if there is a way to, you know, try to increase the turnover or any kind of interest that could be made on that money. I've never really given it much thought, to tell you the truth, but sounds like a damn good idea.
Put a
You know,
million in Bitcoin or Dogecoin.
Yeah, I think Dodge is probably the better bet right now.
Yeah.
A little less of an investment. But yeah, I mean, we can check that out, Joe. I think it's not a bad idea. Let me just make a note of that.
What bank has the funds? Is it Rockland Trust?
I do not know what the town uses. I couldn't even begin to tell you where it is. I don't have any access to that. You know, that comes straight through the treasurer and the accountant's office. So I just know the name of the funds. Like you've seen the spreadsheets that I've sent you,
Yeah.
the budget, the trail budget and so forth. They actually don't list anything other than, you know, what the reserves named.
Right.
That's the same information that I get. I never see any of it. So, moving forward, let's see. The next item that we had on the agenda is budget articles. So this is pretty cut and dry. What we've done in the past, and we did it as one article for appropriations. We set everything up basically that everything was considered on its own, except for budgeted articles, because it's coming out of one sum. So it's basically voted on as one article. And that would be, and it's separated into essentially 5 parts. The first one would be, we'll go with this first because we will have to, actually, this would be a separate one completely. To see if the town will vote to reserve from the Community Preservation Fund annual and revenues the amount of $27,700 for committee administrative expenses. So that's just the one that sets up our 5% that gets stocked away as expenses. So that's how that article reads, is to see if the town will vote to reserve from the Community Preservations Fund annual revenues in the amount of $27,700 for committee administration expenses. Is that good with everybody the way it is, the way it sits? It's pretty cut and dry every year.
Make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, unanimous for that one. All right, and this one is all four remaining under the same one. Here we go. To see if the town will vote to appropriate and reserve from the Community Preservation Fund's annual revenues the amount of $55,400 for the Historic Resources Reserve, the amount of $55,400 to the Community Housing Reserve, the total of $55,400 to the Open Space Reserve. So those are the three that cover that one. That 10% of the $554,000 obviously is $55,400.
Three motions.
Yep.
3 seconds.
All in favor of approving that as an article?
Aye.
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 That is awesome. And the last one being the, to see if the town will vote to reserve from the Community Preservation Fund's annual revenues the amount of $360,100 to the fiscal year 2021 budgeted reserve, which is, that is where the rest of the money that's not earmarked goes, general reserve. So
Motion.
Second.
in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, unanimous again. It's pretty exciting stuff here.
Yeah, we gotta get that money working. Let's go.
Yeah, I think, I mean, you know, it's horrible the way this year worked out, but as far as the CPA goes, we had already talked about pretty much doing exactly what happened before that.
Yeah.
You know, taking maybe a little bit, take our foot off the gas, get some of these other projects to completion before pounding forward. So I mean, coming into next year, we could be sitting on a decent nest egg,
Yeah.
you know, to really put forth. I mean, we might come up with, you know, some more applications. The open spaces and land purchases seems to be pretty high on everybody's little checklist right recently. So I would love to see that continue. Hey, Charlie. All right, let me check him off here too. So that concludes the votes that we actually need for the first two items on the agenda. The last is open discussion. So I got, and I have meeting minutes, by the way, for about the last year that we have obviously not been able to go to town hall. We have not been able to turn these things in person. And since they've opened, I haven't had the chance to bring them up. I do have them typed out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire an email off to everybody, a PDF of about 8 pages of minutes, just so everybody gets their copy of them. And what we'll end up doing is I'm going to schedule a meeting that'll probably be about a 10-minute meeting in about a week or so, maybe 2 weeks. I'll send it out so you is available. Just to get on, approve the minutes, you know, alter the minutes, do whatever we need. And so I can get those turned in now. Obviously, there's been a change of personnel up at town hall as well in the clerks. So I want to make sure that they're brought up to speed and everything's above the table, especially where, like I said, for the first 4 meetings of this year, you know, we weren't able to, or first 4 meetings after April, I should say. We weren't able to do anything. We had our meeting right up until the last one I have on records. Were in February that were actually in-person meetings. We have one scheduled for March that didn't happen due to the COVID situation, and then didn't meet again until I believe it was June. And by then this town hall was still closed and whatnot. We were doing Zoom meetings anyways. But I do have minutes from those meetings. Like I said, I'll send them over in a PDF. I'll scan them all, send them over to you guys. Then we'll hop on the computer real quick. Everybody will have the copy. We'll put them to a vote, and then I can sign them and submit them. So that's good with everybody there. Anything else on the forefront? Anybody? It's an open discussion on the third item. So
The only other thing I got, Derek, real quick, is we did finally start that cemetery on Mount Pleasant today. We only got a couple 3 hours in, but I'm gonna be back at it tomorrow. We got a couple truckloads out of there, and it's gonna look nice once we clean up around all the memorials, all the stones.
excellent.
Great.
Excellent. Yeah, that's the heavy lifting part of it. Once that's done, then, as far as, replacing iron, doing anything of physical construction there could probably go forward with some CPA stuff, maybe be something we put an application in for this year.
Yeah,
get some.
I'm gonna reach out to a buddy of mine that owns a company and see if he can peek at it. Put some prices together for the wrought iron, if that's what we choose to do.
I like
Yeah.
that idea.
I think it'd be a fantastic idea. It's a good thing too. Plus using town resources for it, you guys doing the work and whatnot to get it cleaned out. It's pretty awesome. I saw some of the pictures that you sent over today. That was pretty cool. I'll have to take a run
big
up.
difference just opening up those couple of clusters of birch trees that were in the front. It was a big difference just losing those.
Yeah.
I'll have to take a walk up there this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm really curious now.
We'll have a lot more done tomorrow. Today, like I said, there was only 3 of us up there. We only put a couple hours in, but tomorrow we'll have 4 of us up there and start hacking and trimming away.
That's great, Pete.
Yeah. Definitely fantastic. Any other news? Anything rumbling on about some of the other things we talked about at our last meeting about Hartsuff or?
I haven't had an
We did get preliminary responses for the survey as part of the Hartsuff committee. I read through those today. Almost 500 responses. I think it's open through March 5th, the survey. I know Gene's hoping to get another 200 to 300 responses, but overall, pretty positive. I think a lot of what I expected back.
Yeah, a couple of the answers there, people's personal comments, I was a little kind of shocked at, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, uninformed. There was a mention of some trees being cut down as related to disc golf, but that was part of that tree service that was done for dying trees that were in the center there. And so I think it's, maybe just a little uninformed. But, a lot of it makes sense. A lot of comments on the structures, the bathhouse. I think we anticipated that. It's a very old building. Some good ideas, echoing some of the thoughts we had heard on that other committee meeting, folks looking for a dog park, more accessible trails, better lighting, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that could be a nice source for, continued use long-term for some CPA funding and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
A beautiful open space area to really, obviously it's been, I don't know how long since they've had any kind of a budget to do anything up there. I mean, Pete can probably tell us the best. He's been on the parks long enough to know that it's the underserved and underfunded,
There's really never been any funds between me or the youth commission up there. We just do it because it's got to be done. There's never been really any, years and years ago, I'm talking way back, there used to be a specific accounts for Hartford Park, but that was taken away before I even started up the park.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to see, things that have managed to hang on sometimes by the skin of their teeth, long enough until we could get something in town that was, had the opportunity to actually, commit funding and back these things financially to get them back to what they once were, or what they, the potential, is there to be in the future. It's pretty fantastic. But
Derek, real quick, Derek, I had a finance meeting last night, and they were talking about reaching out to you. I don't know if they did or not, to maybe meet with them next week.
Yep. Yeah, they had reached out about giving us their articles, or giving them our articles. And basically at that time, we didn't have any. The only thing we had was our budget articles, and those don't have to go to anybody.
Right.
We didn't have any project articles. Now we do have one project article. So just to, keep things
Courtesy.
moving. Exactly. It's a courtesy that we'll shoot it over to them. They can call me, I'll Zoom meeting with them, whatever they want. And same with capital planning, because obviously we stepped over the $50,000 thing there to get to 55 to cover the expenses. So I'll reach out to them tomorrow and let them know, what our plan is. I'll send them a copy of the article and find out when they can do a Zoom meeting, and just step into it for 5 minutes and tell them, what it is. We can go from there.
Do you think that we still have to, how can I say this nicely? The situation we had the previous year where they thought they could control our articles.
I don't think that that's a real situation now, as we saw last year. And I know Steve and I went to the meeting, and I got there pretty early. I had already previously talked to Doug before the meeting, and there was zero input really. Stephen and I had gone up to their meeting, told them what we were doing, made it pretty clear that this was, doesn't need their recommendations to go forward. Getting them is nice, because, obviously everybody likes to see at, town meeting that it is a unanimous support from the other committees in town, especially, something like FinCom or capital planning.
Right.
But at the same time, we don't really need it, to push.
Yeah, it avoids us having to get 10 signatures, the way the bylaws are written.
Yeah. Yeah. It's simple. So I'm not worried about it. This is, I mean, they'd be crazy to put their foot down and try to, be the roadblock to most of this stuff, because otherwise what's going to happen is, the money's going to sit there. They can't touch it. They can't use it. They can't do anything with it. So why get in the way of progress? So if you guys have nothing further, we can move to adjourn the meeting, and I can forward these articles over to Doug and those that need them. And I'll shoot everybody a copy as well once they're worded, because no matter how many times we've written them, send them in, they always go through the town council. They look at them, they change an and to a the, and send it back and say it's good to go. So it's not anything major.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
I
All in
agree.
favor?
I apologize for my tardiness.
Oh, no problem, Charlie. We see you dressed up here.
Yeah, I just getting out at 6, so. Sorry
Not a
for that, but you guys handled it as always. I appreciate that.
We're going through pretty well, so.
Okay.
We're gonna be getting together, like I said, I'll put something up probably for next week, just to clear up the minutes aspect of it, and then we'll wait to hear back from the selectmen. Have our next meeting at the end of March. All
Awesome.
right, so
Good.
all in favor, for the second, we had a motion and a second.
Yeah.
All in favor? Okay, meeting is adjourned.